Richard O'Donoghue, please.
Taoiseach, why the delay on details regarding the opening of hotels, pubs, restaurants and other businesses? If the intention is to open the businesses for Christmas, why all the secrecy? If you were having a turkey for Christmas dinner, you would be making plans around this. And you would be making your plans a month to 5 weeks in advance, because you'd have to order your turkey or whatever food you'd have for Christmas. Why? Because of supply and demand. Are there any considerations for the looming issue regarding the supply chain of food for hotels, pubs, restaurants for Christmas? Hotels, pubs and restaurants have not ordered food or drink from their suppliers for months. They still do not know, are they opening? They can't just turn a switch and say, I'm opening tomorrow, and all the suppliers have the stock for it. In preparation for the proposed opening up of the economy, the hotels have contacted their suppliers. The suppliers have told them that they are unsure of the reopening and they cannot judge the stock. They cannot guarantee supply. The knock-on effect, there is no guarantee on supply. Taoiseach, even the children all around the world send their letter to Santa Claus in advance. Why? So it gives Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus and the elves the due time so they can have their presents for them on Christmas Day. Even the children around the world know this. Christmas is the busiest time of the year. People start planning to come home for Christmas up to 12 months in advance. We know that Christmas is different. What you have done to date hasn't worked. People will meet officially or unofficially. If the hotels, pubs and restaurants are open, we have traceability and accountability. Work with what you have. There are 14,000 guards in Ireland, plus trainees. Work out the timetable and you will find out at any one time, to a maximum, you will have 6,000 guards on. That is roughly a rota of people per Gardaí is roughly around 900 people per Garda. Work out the hotels, pubs and restaurants and you quadruple your traceability and accountability. You work out the people that won't go to the hotels, you work out the people that won't go to restaurants. It works out between 1 and 10 per person. You then work out, Taoiseach, that then you have your 6,000 Gardaí that can actually go to where the problem lies at the moment, where there is people that are actually meeting for house parties, where you've just mentioned yourself. The spike happens. You haven't got the right amount of people to quarantine what is in this country. Use your head, common sense and a business approach and use what you have.
Thank you very much, Deputy Taoiseach.
First of all, I accept the Deputy's overall point about preparation and the need to prepare. And decisions will be made by government and announced by government in time for various sectors and actors to prepare in response to a government announcement this week. And I've made it very clear 5 weeks ago, that it would be a 6-week application of level 5. I made that very clear. And I made it very clear in the first press conference that our objective was to try and arrive back at a level 3 and then see what we could do around that, depending on where the numbers are. And my focus, Deputy, has been to get the numbers down. That's government's focus, that's society's focus. And as soon as you start talking about relaxation 2 weeks, 3 weeks out, that focus goes out the window. It's very important that we get the numbers down of a virus that is deadly, that kills people, that injures people long term, and can do real damage. And sometimes in the debate, I feel that's getting lost. If I have to say it straight, I feel that very key aspect of COVID because of fatigue and it's going on so long. That has to be our first motivation. And in terms of protection of livelihoods, if the virus gets to unmanageable levels, the economic damage is far worse long term, far worse in terms of a consequential lockdown of a longer duration that would have been required. Ireland moved earlier than most European countries, and is the better for it that we moved earlier in terms of severe restrictions, whilst keeping aspects of our economy and social life open in terms of schools in particular. But it's been a very tough sacrifice on people. And I said earlier that the hospitality sector has borne the brunt of this, because in hospitality and in tourism and in, people gather, and where people gather, the virus thrives, unfortunately. The government has brought in unprecedented supports for sectors of the economy through EWIS, through TWSS, through the PUP payment, and through CRIS now, which is the new scheme, the COVID restriction support scheme, for those who've been closed long term or who've had very low turnover long term. And the numbers are quite extraordinary by any yardstick in terms of the level and scale of that intervention. So we do understand the real difficulties that people are going through because of COVID-19. And it has had a very, very damaging impact on people's lives, people's livelihoods, and on different sectors of the economy. But you did say earlier what was happening is it hasn't worked. It has worked. It actually has worked. In terms of, we were at 1,000 a day, well, 1,200 a day. That has come way down. I still obviously want to get it down lower. And that is our challenge, Deputy. And the challenge will be for December and beyond, making sure that through our individual and collective behaviour, we don't do things that cause the virus to rise again.
Thank you,
and it can rise fast now, as we know. And that then impacts on hospitalisations, people's health, and the economy ultimately.
Thank you very much, Deputy O'Donoghue.
I have talked to several hotels in County Limerick, from 3-star to 5-star. Debert House Hotel in Kilmallock, Woodlands House Hotel in Dare, Mustard Seed in Ballingarry, Rackeel House Hotel, Longcourt House Hotel, Newcastle West, and the Devon Inn in Templeglanton. All these hotels are waiting for the lockdown to lift at a hope of salvaging Christmas. I spoke at length to the manager of a Dare Manor resort, where there are 600 people employed, and they told me, you talked about it earlier on, if you mentioned the hotels are opening. You had a channel to get to the hotels, the restaurants and the businesses to tell them that if the level 5 restrictions hold at this level, we will then be opening. So then the hotels can gauge it themselves and they will prepare, and they can prepare going forward. But everything is a secret. And you expect, come you turn a switch, that everything is going to be rosy and things can happen straight away. You had the mechanism within your own department to go through dialogue and give this information to the hoteliers and these businesses and say, right, if we're at this level, we're opening at level 3. If we're at this level, we're opening at level 4. And then they can prepare for it, Taoiseach. It's called giving people personal responsibility, and you come back then, empower the people. People are not fools in Ireland. They want to keep themselves safe. And you can then use what you have to use for the minority that won't do it.
Thank you very much, Taoiseach.
In terms of mechanisms and so on, I mean, we've made many public statements. People have tracked the status of the virus over the last number of weeks in terms of numbers coming down. And when we reopened after the first lockdown and go right through the summer, right into September, October, restrictions were lifted, certain things happened, notwithstanding all the dialogue in the world. Notwithstanding all the dialogue in the world. And all of you know it. All of you know it. In terms of certain locations, certain events. It's not a secret in terms of how spikes happened in certain locations and how the virus went up. So there is no secrecy here. I made it very clear at the beginning, we're going to level 5, we try and exit at level 3. We will be giving the sectors proper notice, Deputy. Proper notice in advance of an easing of the restrictions and an exiting from level 5.
Thank you.